Welcome to HR Voices. A podcast for independent HR and people professionals and the businesses they support. HR Voices is brought to you by the expert team at HR Independence Limited. We hope you enjoy.
Hello and welcome to HR Voices. I'm Mary Asante, and this is the second part of our top 10 episodes of all time. In the previous episode, we focused on flexible working, career paths, and the foundations of HR consultancy. Today's episode shifts the lens slightly towards credibility, confidence, and professional maturity. These episodes stood out because they explore what happens when HR becomes more complex, high risk, and deeply human. From employment law and investigations to interim leadership and learning design, let's dive in. So one of our most popular episodes focused on what it really takes to build a successful HR consultancy. And this was a conversation that we had with Katy van der Sluis. What resonated with listeners wasn't just growth or awards. It was the honesty around consistency, confidence, and values. This episode reinforced that sustainable consultancy isn't just about saying yes to everything. It's about knowing what you stand for and where you add value and when to say no. My reflection here is that strong HR consultancies are built on clarity of purpose, boundaries, and capability.
I didn't set out to recreate my own job. I set out to create a HR company, but I wasn't sure how to do that really until I started working with other people. So I think that's where networks like HRI come in, because you can learn very quickly about what other people do that you're not so good at and how you can potentially partner with them and work with them. Isn't it? Because if you've got the confidence to set out what you think you can deliver and know you can deliver well, and you articulate that, it's very honest. And what that'll do is it'll guide you in the right direction. It might take a bit longer, and that's where the kind of you've got to have the guts, haven't you, to keep going and to have faith in what you're doing, and it will come right. It will come right. But if you sway off that path and start becoming something you're not, it'll only ever lead to trouble down the line. So there's a quote, I had it on my notice board when I first started the business, and I was by myself and I had a giant whiteboard, because who doesn't love a whiteboard? But there's a quote by John Kane. It's an American senator, and I'm going to try and get it right, but it's something along the lines of: the definition of courage is taking action even when you're scared. Just got to do it. Just do it. And yes, of course you're scared and frightened, but you might not get the business and there might not be the pipeline. You've just got to have that courage to keep going. And I had it, I blown up on like A3 size, and it was in colour, and it's stuck in front of me, and I saw it every day and just went, I've got to do something. Just got to keep doing something, even though it might not, so. And I think that's the definition. And I think that fear exists when you leave the corporate world, and you might be under a restrictive covenant, or you might have pressures financially, or you might have all of those things. You just got to keep going. That's all. I think so many consultancies set themselves up to be very generic. I work with SMEs supporting HR, but it's too general. Where, who, when. I think you've really got to be brave to target down. I remember when I first came up with Humber HR people as a name, somebody said to me, that's ridiculous. You can only ever work in Humber. I went, no, it just means that's where we are. But actually in the beginning, it was incredibly useful because it speaks to people that are here. And of course, it was really helpful to have clients on our doorstep. So straight away, we niched down geographically. But you could call yourself charity HR people and go for charities. You could call yourself OD, whatever. I just think you've got, again, it's about being brave. Who do you want to work with and target them? Don't go for everyone, because you spread yourself too thin and then it becomes a race to the bottom in terms of fees. That's no good. I think you've got a value, you've got a niche. If you come from manufacturing, maybe your specialism is manufacturing. If you come from, I don't know, construction, maybe your specialism is to provide HR to construction firms. There's so many people set themselves up, and it's so kind of wishy-washy what they're going for. So of course they don't know where to sell to, because actually they don't know what their target customer looks like. And we got very specific early on. So, you know, I know that my target customer is first or second generation business. They are usually male. They're usually aged between 55 and 62. They like golf. They take 9 weeks to buy. I know exactly what they look like. And those are the people I go and find. So it's that customer profile stuff, but that's marketing. So if that's something that's completely outside your comfort zone, go and find someone who can help you with it. We worked with a marketing consultant. She was brilliant. We got it funded as well. So there's plenty of funding for startup businesses. And I think we've had 3 grants in 5 years to support us on various aspects of business, not just marketing, but IT and other things.
Employment law episodes always perform well, and for good reason. So going into the new year, the Employment Rights Bill has been approved by Parliament, which means that new legislation is coming in, which HR consultants need to help their clients and the organizations that the clients run navigate the employment law landscape. So the conversation we had with Claire Taylor Evans from Boyce Turner reminded us that employment law isn't just about catching people out. It's about giving organizations the confidence to make informed decisions, whether it's policy changes, risk management, or people decisions under pressure. HR professionals play a crucial role in translating complexity into clarity. A key takeaway for me is that confidence in employment law doesn't come from knowing everything. It comes from knowing how to assess risk, explain options, and guide decision making calmly. This will help employers, businesses, and employees alike to create a better workplace and a better working relationship overall.
The other area that I would think is worth flagging is if the employer's been unable to take leave because the employer has not encouraged them to take that leave, or they haven't flagged to them, you've got this amount of leave left for this leave year, and that can be a circumstance in which the law says, well, in that case, the employee has to have the ability to carry that leave over. And that is in respect of the basic EU leave, so the 20 days, the 4 weeks only.
Just for clarification, so that our listeners or those watching us would know, we're an employer because a lot of HR consultants work with SMEs, and I work with a lot of technology companies and startups, and during their busy periods, people are busy trying to work to project deadlines and stuff, and so as a result may not end up using up all their statutory minimum holiday. And what employers try to do at that point is to buy the holiday of people. So are they allowed, and can they do that legally?
No, it's a short answer. So no, you are only entitled to be paid in lieu of statutory holiday on termination of employment. So it's a health and safety issue. We want our employees to be taking their leave. And so no, we definitely shouldn't be doing that in respect of statutory leave anyway.
And they pay them for the additional 1.6 weeks. So assuming the employee has used up 4 weeks,
yeah,
buy the additional 1.6 weeks from them, or they only enhanced holiday.
Yeah, that's right.
Buy, but I think I'm asking because yes, it comes out a lot And I
Yeah.
know what the answer is, but I think for the clarity of everyone listening
Yeah.
and some SME employers who may be listening to
Mm.
really understand what they can legally and
Yeah. No, I think that's a really good question. So it applies as well to the 20 days and the 8 days, because that's the statutory minimum.
Next, we look at investigations and the peace model, a conversation with Case Marston from Mast People Support. This episode struck a chord because workplace investigations are one of the most challenging aspects of HR work. We explored the peace model, planning and preparation, engage and explain, account, closure, and evaluation, hence the acronym PEACE, and why structure and fairness matter so much in high-stake situations. What stood out is the importance of independence and objectivity. Investigations aren't about proving guilt, they are about establishing facts, ensuring fairness, and protecting everyone involved, including the organization. My reflection is this: how investigations are handled says everything about an organization's value, culture, and leadership maturity. Whenever the need for investigations arise in an organization, it's important to follow due process, to conduct it objectively, and to ensure that whoever is leading the organization is independent and they have got the room and then the freedom to be able to act independently to ensure that the investigation is conducted well.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's broken down into 5 parts, the word peace. And so part 1 is planning and preparation. So everything that happens prior to you walking into that interview room. Then you have engage and explain, and that's that initial part of the meeting when you're going through that rapport building, you're explaining all the processes and covering off your obligations from that perspective and explaining why you were there. You then gather the account, so the A is account, and within that, once you have a full account, you then need to do the account clarification and challenge. Now, when I say challenge, I don't mean that in a confrontational way, but it's testing that account with some of the other evidence that you may have. But you do that as part of a phased approach because you want to get their account first and then probe that account. Then the C is closure, how you end that meeting. It should never just be abrupt. There's certain things that you should be saying and doing to make sure you're closing that off in the right way. So those middle 3 blocks are within the interview. Post-interview, you then do evaluation, and that should be the evaluation of the interview and what was discussed as part of that in relation to the case, a wider evaluation of the case now that you've got that information, because I think people sometimes think when they've spoken to a subject, that's it, right, now I do the report, but actually you need to evaluate, and are there new inquiries that you need to be doing? And then also something I think we forget as investigators, we need to evaluate ourselves. How did we do in that? Had we planned effectively enough? Did we get all the right points across? Have we said things in the right way? Are we asking those open questions? But I guarantee 99.9% of the time investigators don't take that time to reflect. But yeah, the evaluation piece is really important.
Next, we look at interim contract and model. We spoke to Massey from Massey Technical Service. This episode highlighted a consultancy path that's often overlooked. That is the interim and contract HR work. Humber's journey showed that interim roles offer depth, challenge, and influence, especially for consultants who thrive in complex environments. It was also a powerful reminder that the imposter syndrome often masks genuine expertise. This episode encouraged listeners to rethink what consultancy can look like and to recognize the value of specialist experience gained over time.
There are lots of consultancies, like recruitment consultancies, but they specialise in interim work or fixed term contract work. So I haven't used any, but they're in my network on LinkedIn in case I need them. Also just approaching companies where you've seen permanent roles, like I did with the financial services company that I worked for, because they couldn't fill. I knew that they couldn't fill the role because the advert was, still live, and just kind of challenging them, I suppose, to say, actually, I'm available, but I don't want the permanent job. I'll do it on a fixed term. I think it's using network, using LinkedIn, using HR independence as a source of support and potential opportunities. The link to Investors in People for me came from HR independence.
Last but not the least, we looked at developing resilience in leaders and organizations. A conversation that took place with Katy Walton from Make Real Progress. We closed this part of the top 10 episodes with a focus on resilience, not as a buzzword, but as a leadership capability. This episode explored how HR can support leaders through uncertainty, pressure, and change without defaulting to be more resilient narratives. Instead, it emphasized systems, support, self-awareness, and realistic expectations. For me, this episode reinforced that resilient organizations are built intentionally through trust, learning, and psychologically safe leadership.
I wasn't sure exactly what I wanted to do because I was drawing on such a huge range of experience. There were so many different things that I could offer. So I went with the flow. I gave myself permission for the first 12 months just to see, what do I enjoy doing? What is it that customers are asking for? What do they really want and need? And actually, because it was during the pandemic, I found that most people, first of all, wanted stuff around how do you lead people virtually? How do you lead hybrid workplaces? And everything was delivered virtually. So I had a huge advantage actually on L&D companies that had set up previously, because most of them were set up to deliver everything face to face. And because I'd spent the first few months of the pandemic delivering everything virtually, so my role had shifted because we need to get all hands on deck to deliver, I was really comfortable with delivering things virtually. So I was really quickly able to pull material together, pull content together, and deliver what my customers needed. But I think you're absolutely right, because I didn't set up to run programs on helping people to lead virtually. And it wasn't where my passion really lay. So it took me 12 months of experimenting before I thought, right, okay, what is it that I really want to offer and how can I support people? And what I found really interesting actually was the things that emerged that I didn't think that I'd focus on, that I ended up helping people with. And there were quite a few things that just really quite surprised me actually.
Across these 5 episodes, a clear theme emerges. Great HR work happens when confidence, competence, and care intersect. Whether it's navigating legal risk, leading investigations, stepping into interim roles, or developing leaders, HR professionals are trusted partners in some of the most complex organizational moments. Thank you for listening to the Top 10 series. If you're new to HR Voices, I hope this has given you a strong sense of conversations we care about. And if you've been with us from the beginning, thank you for being part of this journey. If you've enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, leave a review, or share it with someone in your HR or business network. If you'd like to get in touch, suggest a topic, or explore joining HR Independence, you can find us at hrindependence.co.uk. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you next time on HR Voices. Bye.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of HR Voices. If you have a topic you'd like us to cover or would like to be a guest, we'd love to hear from you. Connect with us on social media or email us at hrvoices@hrindependence.co.uk. Tune in next time.